Time for some Toy Tuesday. Tonight we're going to check out a viewer pack. Another one for a good friend up north. This is a smaller viewer pack, so don't know what's going to be in it. It's not a very big one, so maybe a quick episode tonight. We'll see, which is perfectly fine because my day got completely out of hand and didn't really have time to get much ready. But that's okay because I got a lead on a couple of cars that were really, really cool. Unfortunately, they were hauling them in for iron, and they already pretty much destroyed about 3/4 of them. But I still went and grabbed them because this stuff was so cool. I couldn't let it go to the shredder. And there is some really hard to find pieces on them. So I went ahead and grabbed those, but didn't even know about that deal that popped up this afternoon. I had to get that done. So I've been pretty much on a dead run. I had a ton of shipments going out today. And so I didn't have time to get a lot of stuff ready. So fortunately, we had a viewer send us a viewer pack, which huge shout out to them for helping us out. So we're going to utilize that tonight since I didn't have time to do anything else for sure. Peter's here. David W. is on. Tony made it. Austin is here. Glad you guys are here and ready to go. So anyway, like I said, it's a smaller pack, bubble pack, books, magazines, something like that in it. So we'll see what we've got. But like I said, it worked out great because I didn't have time to get anything else ready. I had Arby's right here on this table about 20 minutes ago. That's the way my day's been. So Steve made it. Pete's here. Bill Disk is here. So anyway, let's go ahead and get to slicing, see what we've got in this thing, because I really don't know. That's what makes it fun. Ads already. Wow, that didn't take long. Holy cow, we're up. That's great, guys. I appreciate all the support. Glad you guys are here checking it out, and the hearts are always nice. So anyway, let's get to slicing. Got all my Arby's crumbs cleaned up here, I hope. And let's see what we've got in the viewer pack. Make sure it's kind of down here at the other end before I get to cutting. There we go. All right, there we're in and kind of see where we're cutting now. Got it taped up here pretty good. So, all right, let's see. All right. Some magazines and some other stuff that's all kind of wrapped up in here. All right. First off, okay, it's metal. It is metal. Stud mount. It is. There's Randy with a nut farm. Canadian Volvo. Okay, that's a new one. Literally says Canadian Volvo. And it is actually a metal emblem, which is really odd. I mean, it's not plastic. This is a real deal metal, chrome-plated, painted emblem. Let me grab a tape measure. Eight and a half inches long. That is definitely a different one. So that is interesting for sure. All right, what else we got? Something else wrapped up in a little rag here. Let's see. Find an end here to get it untaped. I know I've definitely never seen it. Oh, this is another cool one. Canadian, this one to Pontiac. Parisienne. This actually has a gold tint to it. It feels like it's a metal one. Small Parisienne, maybe like an interior emblem. The gold coloring on it. and 3 1/4. So, like I said, that could be like an interior badge. But I don't think I've seen that one either. Big Job made it tonight. There's G. Ryan and Amy are on. That's kind of a neat one. Is that it? It feels like we just got magazines left. So what do we got for magazines? I got to do a little more cutting here to get the magazine to slide out. There we go. Looks like we got a couple of them in here. The cover's loose, or is it in here? Or maybe it's one big magazine. I'm not sure. Let's see. Trying to figure out if we're just missing a cover or if this is... No, they're different magazines. One of them's just missing a cover. So let's see what we've got in here for these magazines and what's in those. It looks like... Yep, that's it for the viewer pack. So let's get the pack out of the way and check out these magazines. This first one without a cover on it. Road and Track, July of 75. Wow. Kind of crazy to think that's 50 years ago. So what's in this one? Let's see if there's... Something new in 1975, the Rabbit. Tim made it. Check out the racing equipment section. Ah, okay. Here is why they sent this. I was flipping through it, and the viewer stuck this piece of paper in here. Now this makes sense. It all got real clear. I didn't see it. They had it tucked down in here. It wasn't sticking out the top, so it got lost in here. Now I see it. Now it makes sense. Here we go, guys. The new Auburn dual cowl Phaeton. Glenn Prey has created another period car. That's what the viewer found. That's why he sent this to us. Okay. Glenn Prey, owner of Auburn Core Duesenberg Company, has designed and built a new car for the enthusiast who wants to relive the magical days of the 30s. The Auburn Dual Cowl Phaeton Model 874 was previewed by Prey at the ACD Owners Meet in Auburn, Indiana in 1974 and is now in production. This car is not a replica of any particular model, but an interpretation of the Auburn theme by Prey, adapting the best of a number of various cars of the era. It has a 140-inch wheelbase, completely disappearing convertible top, 460 Lincoln Continental engine, automatic transmission, air conditioning, disc brakes, power steering, and many other standard features. The body is of reinforced polyester, and the finish is of hand-rubbed lacquer with the color to be specified by the purchaser. No metallic colors are offered. The price is $45,000. Remember, this is 1975. The price is $45,000 from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And the only extra cost option is a set of 5-wire wheels for an additional $1,500. If you don't care for the standard steel disc wheels. Glenn Prey spoke with us on the telephone about his new car and his company. He bought the Auburn Duesenberg company in 1960 and has been operating ever since from a 5-acre factory near Tulsa. Prey says the plant used to be a pickle factory and that though its buildings are quite old, it suits his purpose quite well. He also mentioned that recent magazine reports of the sale of the company to a group in Florida and references to his having died are, as Mark Twain said, greatly exaggerated. We've had the doors open every working day for the past 15 years, and we intend to continue that. Prey's ACD company first gained recognition with the 8/10 cord in the early 60s, a few of which we still see here in the Southern California area, followed by the Auburn Speedster in 1968. Neither car was a smashing financial success, but Prey is carrying on with his handful of young workers and dedicated group of Auburn Duesenberg enthusiasts who remain quite loyal. The Auburn Dual Cal Phaeton will be produced in small numbers, about 1 per month. And Prey told us the first year's production run is already sold out on the basis of the preview at Auburn. It is an elegant car with a number of features often found in vehicles of the 30s, such as duplicate instrumentation for the rear seat passengers. A speedometer, attack, fuel level gauge, and clock are located in the dashboard behind the rear cowl so that backseat drivers can keep an eye on what's going on. Prey said that he once had a Duesenberg with that feature, and his open cockpit airplanes have it too, so he thought it would be nice in the new Auburn. If you want to be put on the waiting list, contact Prey at ACD in Oklahoma. So that makes more sense. That is super cool. Now, take a little bit better look at the picture of the car, and then we'll get into this a little bit more. Now, if you guys haven't seen any of it, be sure, and I know most of you have, but we've got some new guys on here. Be sure to check out the Auburn Duesenberg Company playlist on the channel. They still have one of the dual cowls. Our good friend Doug Prey, who we've done tons of videos with. If you guys haven't seen any of those, Doug actually designed this exact car. Gee, love reading the book. If you haven't seen the playlist, gee, check it out. We do a lot of work with those guys down there. Great guys. Doug and Adam, great to work with. Doug actually designed this car in a school class. Doug's original actual rendering of this car is still there. And I'm sure we've got it in some videos. They do still have one. I think it's the last one they kept. We took it to lunch one day. I've been out riding around in one of these. So, if you haven't caught any of that stuff from Auburn Duesenberg, hit that playlist. We got a lot of great stuff from there. So this all makes sense now. This was a rougher copy with no cover, but now that we found this, now I know why the viewer sent it. So appreciate that. Awesome piece to go with our Auburn Duesenberg Company stuff. One more magazine we're going to check out. And this is a part of the market that has definitely changed. I don't know if they've got anything specifically marked in this one. I'm going to look real quick this time. Okay, I don't see any bookmarks in here, so we're going to check this one out. Shop Cat made it tonight. Up next, we've got a June of 1975 issue of Street Rodder. Now, the street rod scene obviously is changing dramatically. I don't know how close you guys keep up with that, but, the street rod world is definitely a lot different than what it was back in the 70s and 80s and even into the 90s. The style in the 70s was definitely completely different than what we're used to. Obviously, the 80s, we saw a lot of pastel colors, and in the 90s, we started seeing more high-tech, more billet, things like that. So let's check out what was going on in 1975 in the street rodder world by taking a quick look at these. I don't disagree, Shop Cat. I think there is some 70s coming back. We're definitely seeing it in the van world. So let's see what we've got in here. Model cars. 36 Ford Ragtop Street Rod Vintage 1975. Street Rodder subscriptions. $7.50 for a subscription to Street Rodder in 1975. One Street Rod's autobiography, the story of a roadster made fame and fortune. Here we go. The West Big Winter Show. Here's definitely some great pictures of the street rod world of the 70s. Let's see what kind of, oh, here's more of the 70s stuff. Check this stuff out. Lots of wire wheels, different colors. And what issue of Street Rodder from the 70s would be complete without a T-bucket? There was probably a, kind of some sort of statute in the magazine world that, on how many T-buckets you had to have in each issue in the 70s. Another car that is definitely a 70s era build, 29 Chevy, 6-cylinder powered. But there again, this was the style. Very boxy 20 style, wire wheels, and 6-cylinder power. Let's catch a few more things in here. Once again, 36 Ford Coupe this time, but the almost mandated wire wheels in the 70s on street rods. All right, we got a color spread to check out. That's right, Bill. It is far out, man. But you know what's even more far out, man? This Ford truck that we're going to check out next is really, really far out, man. So check it out. Check out how far out this one is. Oh, yeah. This one, not wearing wire wheels, wearing slot mags. There goes the hearts. You okay there, Randy? This thing is pretty wild. Here's kind of a different article. Disneyland's cars. Disneyland's main street rods. Not an article you would expect to see. Check those out. Cars at Disney. And even has some tech stuff about, because, you know, as people know, Disney stuff is usually modified to do what they need them to do. I bet this would be a really interesting article. Obviously, we don't have time to get into it all here, but it actually gets into some of the build stuff on how Disney does this stuff or did this stuff to make it work for what they needed it to do. Brett's with us from Pennsylvania tonight. Holy cow, Brett. Check out this fire truck. Now, like we mentioned, a lot of these cars and trucks were modified for what Disney needs. This one actually powered by a 2-cylinder flathead Hercules with a Jeep-type Borg-Warner T9 transmission. Obviously, this stuff didn't need to go fast. It didn't need to go down the highway. It needed to be able to maneuver around the park reliably and safely and carefully. So that's some of the stuff they did. I mean, and all of Disney stuff is this way. It's all modified for park use and what they needed to do on the park and what they needed to do reliably and every day in the park. Neil! So I bet if we had time to read that whole thing, I bet that would be a really cool article. A couple more articles to check out, and then we'll get wrapped up for tonight. Something there again in, yeah, and that's right, Big Job. Almost everything is electric at Disney now. Street rod security, obviously with you know, tags and stuff now. You can trace a lot of stuff, but 1975 street rod security systems. Not quite as high tech as what we're used to today, but they were trying back in the day. It was already becoming a real thing. All right. Got another color spread coming up here. And then we're going to be pretty close to being done with this magazine. Got one more show, one more color spread. Let's catch these, and then we'll probably go ahead and wind this up. There again, another car, definitely 70s era. Definitely has the mandatory wire wheels on this 32 sedan. Check this baby out. More hearts for this one. I think Randy's having fun. Let's catch one more car show from the 70s, and then we'll probably go ahead and call it a night for Toy Tuesday. The 25th anniversary, silver anniversary of the Autorama in Sacramento. Lots of cool customs here. We got 4 pages of this. Yeah, you're having fun with this one too, aren't you, G? There is some really cool stuff in here. And we got a couple more pages of this, and then I think we'll go ahead and call her a night. Way more stuff in here than I imagined for a small viewer pack, that's for sure. Something that's kind of interesting in this shot, I mean, obviously we've got our typical coupes and roadsters up here. You know, super cool 70s style. But one thing that kind of stands out to me is right down here. 55 Super. That car was a 20-year-old car at that time. Can't replace the good old days of car culture. They definitely had their own era and their own window and their own life for sure. You know, the crazy thing to think about, this 1955 Super, this is July of 75. So this was literally a 20-year-old car. So that's like, you know, buying a 20-year-old Buick and customizing it in today's world. Crazy to think about. Of course, back then at 55, there's so many things that changed between 55 and 75. It was a whole different world. Not quite as much now. We've got a lot more technology, but in 2005, you know, we had, you know, a lot of the modern amenities we have today, just more tech in them. So crazy to think about at that point. One more page of this show, and more typical stuff here. A 32, a 33 coupe, Phaeton, some more good old 70s era style. So that will kind of wrap us up for the June 1975 issue of Street Rodder. So, you know, like we talked about, the street rod world, a completely different animal than what it was back then. Don't really know where that world is going. You know, some of those guys are not with us anymore. So there's definitely some changes in that world. And I'm not really sure where that world is going to end up you know, in the near future. But it's super cool to look back at the style because there again, it was a whole different world, and that's fine. It was a different world. They had different technology they were working with. A lot of this stuff they were still working with a lot of used parts. You know, we're used to getting the catalog out and ordering it for whatever guys want in today's world. But back then, you kind of worked with what you had. That's just kind of the way it was. But that's what they did. So totally different style, but that's what's so great about these old magazines, going back and looking at that snapshot in time and checking it out. So, but anyway, that's 100% true, Shopcat. You all right there, G? You're getting a little excited on us. The loss of Gene Winfield was huge. Gene impacted so many lives in this world, so many lives. I mean, all the way to the end. I mean, that guy was still out touring a year or two ago. Like we talked about when we lost him, he actually literally gave Addie her first welding lesson in Kansas City at World of Wheels. Her and I were talking about it, looking at some of his training DVDs and stuff. And he looked right at her and said, "You want to weld?" And she looked up at him and said, "Yeah, kind of." He goes, "Come on." He took her behind the table. He slapped the helmet on her, and he started showing her how to lay down beads. Gene Winfield did that stuff all over the country, all over the world. And he impacted so many people in this hobby and made such a dramatic impact on this world because of what he did in the car hobby and the way he handled people and the way he treated people and the way he genuinely loved what he did and got out there and did it and interacted with people and talked to people and just became part of this culture that we all love. So and you're right, Shopcat, everybody knew it was coming. I mean, he was 97 years old. I mean, that was a heck of a run. And he did a lot of amazing things. And so, yeah, that was a huge loss, even though, like you said, everybody knew it was coming, but it's still hard to realize it. Even, even the people that didn't know him, they knew what he did. We had met him several times, and he didn't know us, but we had talked to him several times at the KKO in Salina, World of Wheels in Kansas City. But that 10 minutes that he stopped and took with Addy was huge. So it's pretty cool. And we think back about the custom car culture, Gene Winfield, and that's why it's such an impactful loss from what I see. Gene Winfield was there when the custom car culture started, as it blossomed, as it grew, as it changed, as it shifted styles. And what we just looked at was another one of those shifts and another one of those changes. He started literally when they started customizing this stuff up through the 50s, into the 60s, the wire wheels and the T-buckets of the 70s, the pastel colors of the 80s, the billet of the 90s. Gene Winfield was there. He lived it. He was part of it. He helped shape it. So when we lose legends like that, it does make you stop and think that, wow, look at what is gone. But on the other side, on the other hand, we've got to look back and say, wow, look what that guy did. Look at the lives he touched. And look at these different eras and cultures that he helped shape. So, pretty cool. Huge shout out to the viewer tonight. Even though it wasn't a big viewer pack, it was a great one. The article on the car that our good friend Doug Prey actually designed and his dad built, super great. The Street Rodders from 1975 taking us back in time and checking out a whole different style of that era, super cool. So, and I agree with that. I agree with that 100%, Shopcat, 110%. Totally agree with that. So anyway, guys, thanks for stopping by tonight. We went a lot longer than I expected. I figured this was going to be a short one since it wasn't a big viewer pack. But that shows you how much cool stuff can be in a small pack. And all the stuff that we talked about, learned about tonight, the different era we looked at, the different emblems we studied. A lot of content in one small pack. So appreciate you guys being here. G, thanks for stopping by tonight. I don't know if you've been hanging out with us or not, but hope you come back. Stay tuned. We got more stuff coming up tomorrow night as well as Friday night. I think the public video, I got that video ready from my buddy's place that you guys have never been to before. So we've got some cool stuff from there. I think that video will be ready for tomorrow night or Friday night. Like I said, I picked up a few more cars today. Got a lot of things working, a lot of great stuff hitting the ground. You guys don't want to miss any of it. So stay tuned. New content tomorrow night, Friday night, and then, of course, right back here, Sunday night, 7:30 for the Gearhead Interactive Live Chat. And, of course, April 26th, the Gathering of the Nobodies. If you're not signed up yet, get your slot reserved. We're going to have a great weekend. The weekend of April 26th is going to be a blast. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out tonight with us. Hope you enjoyed it. And we sure hope to see you Sunday night, 7:30 for the Interactive Gearhead Live Chat. Thanks for being here tonight, everybody.